Politics. Growing this channel means I need to react to politics. So we're watching TLDR news videos, European political community, success or failure. Dun, dun, dun. What's TommyKay's opinion on this very important matter since she's such an important political figure? My opinion is, I think the European political community is so far a success. I think people always rage negative and toxic about this. I think Europe has to be a community to keep up with China and USA. And obviously there's many issues that have to be solved, and in my opinion one of the major issues is when people are not playing around, playing along, and mostly Viktor Orban in Hungary, Poland sometimes. Yeah, let's take a look. Check this out, boys.
This video is brought to you by the Daily Briefing. When Macron first announced the so-called European political community a couple of months ago, it was met with widespread skepticism. The UK saw it as yet another branch of the European Union, and the other non-EU members suspected it might be a means for keeping them at arm's length while the EU deals with its enlargement fatigue. However, its first meeting last week went remarkably...
Who do I know here? I want to see how educated I am. Britain, France, Olaf Scholz, Germany.
So in today's video, we thought it'd be a good idea to take a look at the new initiative, explain what it's all about, and do our best to evaluate it. First, a bit of context. The European political community is essentially Macron's idea, and was first formally announced on the 9th of May, when Macron made...
Didn't Macron just some months ago barely win his election against the Nazi scum of Le Pen? Pro-Putin Le Pen or some shit? There was a big dent in his power, right? He barely won, I think.
This would be a new European organization.
Crazy that this guy barely wins against something like Marie Le Pen. Isn't that fucking insane? It wasn't close. I remember I was reading that he lost a lot of power. It was a hit for him. He lost votes there and shit.
Space for democratic European nations.
Meloni is pro-Putin. We're fucked. I don't think that's true. I think that's fake news. Meloni has tweeted that Italy under Meloni gives full and utter brotherhood and support to Ukraine. She tweeted that. So I don't. If you have sources, man, share them with us.
To cooperate in a variety of policy areas.
58 to 41. Yeah, but that was weaker than before. And a 41% vote for a far-right party.
Macron suggested that the EPC would be not only open to countries such as Ukraine and the Western Balkan states, which are seeking to join the EU, but also those who have left the EU, i.e. the UK. Macron apparently sees the EPC as a forum for maintaining cordial relations between all the
So, Farmer, I'm not a politician, but it seems like you're just overcomplicating things. Why do we have to open another branch? Just stay with the EU. Why do we have to always overcomplicate everything?
And a vital instrument in maintaining European unity against the threat of Russian aggression. So, how does this EPC differ from other forums such as the NATO OSCE?
Oh, that's an interesting graphic. OSCE. Holy see. The Pope is in that shit? Uh-huh. What is this? Council of Europe. I've never heard of that in my life. European Economical Area. Political Community. NATO. Schengen. I know what Schengen is with Norway and Switzerland. EU candidates. Eastern partnerships. Potential EU candidates at the moment. Kosovo, Georgia, and Herzegovina.
Well, for one, the Americans aren't involved, which is consistent with Macron's idea of strategic autonomy. It's also significantly larger than any other group, with 44 participants. 27 are in the EU, 4 from the EFTA, but the rest have no direct connection to the EU. Macron is...
It's so funny how you have all these not so rich countries, right? Countries that are not really considered, you know, rank 1, and then you have Britain in the middle of it, man.
Determined that the EPC will not be dominated by the EU,
on the same level as Albania,
which is why every biannual summit will alternate between EU and non-EU capitals. Somewhat predictably, the EPC has already come under some criticism, despite the fact that there's only been one meeting. Pessimistic analysts suggest it will be a waste of time. It's too big without any clear agenda.
Did they do this meeting in the Czech Republic of Kaliningrad?
Doomed to end up like
Great joke,
the
Tommy.
Union
Wow,
for the
you delivered that so well.
which was established in 2008 by the then French President Nicolas Sarkozy in a futile attempt to improve communications.
Isn't that guy indicted for some tax shit or something? No? Didn't something happen to Sarkozy? That's one thing I like about Germany. We have pretty shit politicians, man, but at least they don't go to prison and stuff, man. Yet. you know. Thank you, Baote. This guy was fucked or something.
And their Mediterranean neighbours.
For corruption or tax shit or something.
EPC is a French-led effort to prevent further EU enlargement. They claim that EPC is Macron's preferred destination for both the Western Balkans and the Eastern Partnership EU candidates, so Ukraine, Moldova,
the German politicians are just hiding it better, you know.
Instead of full EU membership. This would be similar to Francois Mitterrand's concentric circles, or the more recent two-speed Europe ideas that have been floating around Brussels for quite some time now.
That's so confusing,
The concept that there should be an inner core of quote-unquote proper EU states who can get on with full political and economic integration, so the Euro and Schengen, etc., and then an outer core of EU curious states who can just meander alongside. This has been very much opposed by EU candidate states who want to be full
they want to be real
members.
I wonder what in reality, what is the difference? Like the money you get, the stuff EU puts on you, what kind of sanctions you have to fulfill. What exactly would that mean, I wonder?
They see the inner core idea as essentially elitist and a way of further concentrating power into the hands of just a few
That's very true, yeah.
EU states.
That sounds like it makes a lot of sense.
This is essentially true of the Balkan countries, who have been deeply frustrated about the deadlock in their bids to join the EU. Albania and other Balkan countries have had EU candidate status for years, North Macedonia since 2005 and Albania since 2014. The Western Balkans, similar to Turkey, have big Muslim communities, and some say this is the major reason Macron doesn't want them inside the EU, as they
Racist! What?
claim Macron is petrified of Le Pen and other French Islam.
That's clever though. That's the truth of life, unfortunately, you know? You can't be a child, a little Antifa 12-year-old child, and be like, what a racist Macron is, but the truth is the truth. The more, this is the truth of life. Say what you want. The more Muslims you have in the European Union, the more the right-wing parties can use that for their own advantage. That is a fact. That is not anything racist in that statement. That is a fact. And someone like Macron must understand that the xenophobia is going to be working against him and he will lose elections, man. That is just how the world works, man.
Islamophobic right-wingers who would use EU enlargement against his or any other pro-EU French political party in any future election. Nonetheless, whilst it's come under some criticism, the first meeting was apparently pretty successful. For starters, it looks like it's gone down well.
I always wonder what they do in these meetings. I feel like they just meet and they're like, hey, I have an idea. You like my idea? Ah, it sounds kind of cool. Let's talk about it in fucking 10 years again. Sure, man. You want to fuck some miners down in the basement? Ah, sure. Let's go.
Well, with Downing Street. As you might have noticed, UK-EU relations haven't been particularly friendly in recent years. Accordingly, Truss was reluctant to attend the first EPC meeting and even demanded that no EU flags be present at the summit. In the end, she did attend, and after the meeting, Macron and Truss pledged to hold a UK-France summit in 2023 to take forward a year later, I told agenda. And Truss stressed that Macron was indeed a friend, something she'd refused to do during her leadership campaign. For his part, Macron said he hoped the meeting marked...
Why would you call Macron a photo? Like, why would you do that as a British leader?
...of the day after, and a new phase in UK-EU relations. Clearly, the EPC has succeeded in breaking the frosty ice between the UK and Europe. On top of that, the EPC succeeded in at least getting President of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev and Prime Minister of Armenia Nikol Pashinyan in a room together. For those of you who don't know...
You should just smack him. You should just go up there, fucking smack him, dude. The war's over.
So Azerbaijan and Armenia have a long-standing...
They're fighting at the moment. No one talks about this, right? The news don't show us at all.
...region, known as Artsakh by most Armenians. And a few months ago, Azeri forces staged an unprecedented attack against Armenian positions within Armenia proper.
100 people died, man. I haven't heard anything about them in the German news.
There's been widespread speculation that Azerbaijan attacked when they did because Russia, Armenia's only real security partner, was preoccupied with Ukraine. And the fact that Putin was unable to mediate peace talks
also don't show Iran a lot, yeah.
seemed to confirm this. At the EPC, the two sides sat down with Macron and the President of the European Council, Charles Michel, eventually agreeing to facilitate a civilian EU mission on the Armenia-Azerbaijan border, which will start in October.
That's always the first thing they do when two guys fight each other. Can we please send some helpers to at least take care of the civilians? Like, fix the situation. Stop the fucking war, man. This is not enough.
Obviously, this is good news.
But it's probably just how the world works, man.
But the fact that the EU has replaced Russia as the geopolitical heavyweight in the region is also bad news for Putin's international standing. It's possible that the EPC will similarly improve relations between the EU and its other neighbours. The EU neighbourhood policy is widely regarded as essentially insufficient, especially in regards to Turkey and the Balkans. The EPC represented an opportunity to reignite ties with this region, especially as China and Russia have become more influential in the area in recent years. To conclude, while it's too early to say for certain whether or not the EPC will be a success
honestly, that video kind of taught me nothing, man. I have no idea what the fuck this video just told me.